Our future, our choice. We say no to Brexit and social mobility grinding to a halt. Do these people understand that the overwhelming majority of the world is not in the European Union and somehow people travel? I mean, there is social mobility. Like, I can go to America even though America is not in the European Union. Astonishing, isn't it? How do we manage? We say no to the rich doing fine, but the poor getting poorer. Why does no one talk about the abject wealth that the people in Brussels live in? And they live in out of the taxpayer money. How much is a wage of an EU MP? Oh my fucking 8,000 euros. 8,000 euros? 8,000 euros. And this is, by the way, out of taxpayer money. Like, they're not producing anything for society. No, like, they live out of the handouts of the people, out of my pocket. That's where they live. Like, they're beggars. They have their hands raised like, give me cash, please, give me cash. 8,000 euros, right? And on top of that, also a monthly allowance of another 4,000 to cover office expenses such as rent, phone bills. You know, normal people don't get that. Normal people have to pay for their own shit. So in total, they get around 12,000 euros, right? And this is what pisses me off the most when I hear people talking about the rich getting richer, and they're fine with the European Union getting like this enormous amount of wealth. I'm genuinely curious. Are any of my subscribers winning this much? This much? And even if you are, you're probably working in the private sector, aren't you? You're not some appointed person that's living on the government dime. And we're not even going into the other benefits of being an EU MP, right? Now, this is what really pisses me off when I hear people that are left and they talk about, oh, we care about the poor and we want an equal distribution of wealth. And they never talk about how much an EU MP is getting paid. Like, that doesn't seem to compute. Like, that's not even in their vocabulary, right? They constantly talk about how much big businesses make, how much CEOs make. But when it's about, like, the appointed members of the European Union, it's like, oh, crickets. All right. Whilst Parliament negotiate dividing regions and communities, well, who on earth should negotiate this, huh? Like, here's the thing, for those of you who don't know, Britain is one of the only nations, one of the few nations that actually had the referendum before going into the European Union, and it was sold to them as an open market. That's it. It wasn't sold to them like, we're going to have the super state with its own army and it's going to be massively influenced by the Germans and the French. No, the European Union was actually created in order to stop German power, right? In order to keep Germany from becoming another superpower. And well, look where it's now. Watch, share, and retweet this powerful poem. Powerful. Oh, I will. Let's listen to the powerful poem. And by the way, it's the people's vote. I'm genuinely curious. Like, all these people who are for the people's vote, they didn't want the Brexit vote. You know, before it got started, all of a sudden, oh no, people voting. Bleh. I think Juncker said, if you want to destroy Europe, have more referendums. And I'm genuinely curious. Let's say they do have the people's vote and Brexit won't happen. And after a couple of more years, people from Britain will say, you know what, we changed our mind. We're like, the European Union is going down a path we don't like. We want another Brexit referendum. Do you think they will be in favor of another people vote? Do you think they will? Or is it like the way everything works in the EU? You get to vote on it again and again and again until it goes the EU's way. And once it went the EU's way, you will never vote on it ever again.
If your home was threatened, would you put up a fight?
Well, not in the UK, no. Did you look up the legislation? Did you look up what self-defense is like in the United Kingdom? Jesus fucking Christ. You are likely to go to prison if you put up a fight and you injure the home invader. So, no, probably not. In Romania, yeah, sure. Like, I would definitely put up a fight. In America, you know, they have, like, the castle doctrine. They would definitely put up a fight. Britain, not so sure. So, no, definitely not.
If your friends, your family, your future was threatened, would they hear your battle cry?
I don't know. I think it's a trick question. I think it might be perceived as racist, so I would choose not to answer that.
If you chose X, but then got given Y, wouldn't you challenge the ones who lied?
You mean like when the British peoples were promised that they will get an open market, and instead they got a super state under the leadership of France and Germany? Yeah, they did challenge. You know what happened? They wanted more sovereignty for Britain, and then Theresa May gave them less sovereignty in a capitulation deal that the EU doesn't even want. I think people just want hard Brexit. Like, they do not want a deal. That is the thing that your MPs do not want to understand.
We say no to Brexit, to our high streets dying shop by shop.
What? Do you understand that there were shops before Brexit? Like, there are parts of the world outside of the European Union, and they have shops. And if you wouldn't have shops, you know what happened? There would be a hole in the market, and young entrepreneurs like yourself could actually open up a shop. No, it's true. It can be done, Khaleesi.
We say no to our friends at Borders getting turned away.
You don't know those people. The fuck are you talking about? How many friends do you have? Who came at the border knowing you and got turned away? They're either like they're refugees and you do not know them. And if you don't like the fact that refugees are coming into Britain, maybe you should talk to Theresa May to stop bombing Syria to cause more refugees to come in. Just saying. And secondly, if they're your friends, do they not have passports? Like, I'm from Romania, I have a passport. And if you want to travel outside of the EU, you can have a passport. It's not so hard. It takes, 1 month to get it? Oi.
We say no to our future jobs turning into dust. To all...
Again, you do realize that you can create jobs. Like, you're a young entrepreneur-looking fellow. There is nothing stopping you from opening a job. And if, let's say, all the multi-corporations that you love so much leave UK, you know, Britain can actually lower the taxes for corporations to attract foreign investors, even if they wouldn't come from the European Union, which I would highly doubt because they seem to love British money. They would still come from outside the EU. Like, there would be Chinese investors coming in, American investors coming in. There are other countries outside the European Union. I know this is astonishing, but they do exist.
All our other issues getting overlooked while Parliament negotiate and lose the nation's trust.
Yes, Parliament, democracy.
Showing we're here, calling for a people's vote. Now let's make sure we're not ignored.
We say no to Brexit.
You did have a vote. You lost. And now I guess there was this article in The Guardian, and I'm not even making this up, but it was saying even if no one changed their mind, a lot of old people who voted leave are dead now, and a lot of young people have reached the age of 18, so maybe we should have another vote. Can you imagine this way of thinking? Just let that sink in. You know, like, I will reduce this to absurdity and make a parallel. Imagine if, like, there's elections in America and Obama wins, and let's say the majority of all people voted for Obama, and people will say, you know what, let's not give Obama the presidency yet. Let's wait like 2 or 3 years so that more old people die and more young people get the chance to vote, so we don't get Obama as the president. Right? This is literally the mentality that they're pushing here. Also, social mobility grinding to a halt. Yeah, I don't know, for thousands of years before the European Union, people had social mobility. Like, you could get from a country to another. It's called the UK, not NK, not North Korea, right? Like, the border is still open. You're not under the Iron Curtain.
Social mobility grinding to a halt.
We say no to culture, arts and festivals dropping in diversity.
We say...
What? So okay. Without the European Union, black people can't do art and festivals. Like, so hold on. My brain is jammed right now. I'm trying to unjam myself. So you're saying the only reason you have diversity in art and festival is because of the European Union? I mean, call me skeptical if I don't believe that the country that ended slavery, which is the British Empire, I know it's an empire, but it still ended slavery. Like, it stopped trading with nations that were still using slaves, right? I find it hard to believe that that country now just will not have diversity if it's not being held by the European Union, that is led by the Germans, who have a history of being incredibly diverse, don't they?
We say no to town halls and centres boarding up their fronts.
We say no.
What town hall and centre boarded up? What? Pixar, it didn't happen.
The rich doing just fine, but the poor getting poorer.
you are justifying the European Union. They are rich people. You do understand this. Like Juncker is not a homeless guy. Look at his face. Okay, just go on Google. Go for Juncker. He doesn't look poor to me.
Whilst Parliament negotiate, dividing up regions and communities.
We have shown that we're here calling for a people's vote.
Now let's make sure we're not ignored.
Did they repeat that? I think they repeated that. Like they had to repeat the same arguments again. Like you know what really annoys me about the Remainers? They never address the issue, which is of British sovereignty. They never talk about just how much they care about sovereignty, because this is why people voted leave, right? And they always strawman it. It's like, oh, people don't like immigration. Oh, people don't like this, don't like that. No, can you address the main issue? Do you think English people have the right to make laws in their land without being superseded by a foreign state? Like, do you think a German has the right to dictate the laws in your country? Because that's really the argument, right? And if so, if the answer is yes, why? Why do you think that's the case? Do you guys think we're ever going to get an answer from that? Do you think the Remainer camp are ever going to address the actual reason why people left the European Union? Not to mention, like, I love how whenever you see these types of propaganda, the EU always seems like the greater good, like it's always right. No one talks about why did the EU not offer Britain a fair deal? Why is it so hostile to the United Kingdom? Why is it treating it like an enemy? Isn't that an important question to ask? And another question, how it will affect the European Union, the fact that the second biggest contributor, the British government, is leaving. Who is going to pick up the load? Who is going to pay? Because I'm in Romania. To me, it's important to know who is going to pay now that Britain is going to leave. Are the taxes in my country going to rise up? What about the European Union army? Who's going to pay for that if the divorce bill isn't being settled? Like actual questions that I think would require answer. But no one has the audacity to question the European Union for some reason. It's unquestionable, isn't it? Let me know what you think. Looking forward from hearing from you guys in the comment section.